The Hilton sale is on. Now through September 29th, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Long weekends, last-minute getaways, holiday gatherings. There's a Hilton stay for all of them. More moments, more experiences, more destinations. Now 20% off for a limited time because it matters where you stay. Don't wait. Book by September 29th and save up to 20% at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
Navigate the gauntlet of uncertainty the world throws at your business with SAP. Whether it's a tropical storm hitting your warehouse or a short supply of those little plastic twist ties, SAP can help you tackle those unexpected crushing setbacks with its AI-powered capabilities. To pivot to new suppliers, automate paperwork, and source the twist ties you need at the price you want, so your business can stay unstoppable. Learn more at sap.com/uncertainty.
1, 2, 3, 4. Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time,
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am your host, Precious D, and today we're doing a special bonus episode. I'm going to be interviewing Shawn Pryor, author of the book Kaiju Unleashed, an illustrated guide to the world of strange beasts. And make sure you get that title and subtitle correct, because there's another book out there called Kaiju Unleashed that is not this. I forget what it is, but I think it's a work of fiction and it has a different subtitle. This is a work of nonfiction about the history of kaiju movies, so which is kind of what we do here on the show. So welcome to the show, Shawn. How are you doing today?
Doing good, sir. Doing really good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Full disclosure, I was sent a physical and a digital copy of this book, but with no restrictions, no obligation even to do this interview. So, but just want everybody to know that we did get a free book out of this. It's a beautiful book. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've looked through the whole thing because there's a lot of pictures included.
Yes.
It's a lovely hardback. Who did the cover and the back cover? There's a Godzilla on the front and a Kong on the back.
On the back. Yeah, that was an artist, Daz Tibbles. Daz Tibbles provided the artwork for the front and back cover, and he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I couldn't find his name here. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right spot, but they look beautiful. So tell us a little bit about this book and how you came to write it.
Yeah, so back in late 2023, I had a good friend of mine who writes for DC Comics. He also writes a bunch of Mad Libs books and a bunch of other books as well. He reached out to me. He had reached out to me. He said, "Hey, Shawn," he was like, "Hey, there's this book I was supposed to write. I don't have time to fit it in the schedule." He's like, "I know you like kaiju and you enjoy monster movies." And so he said, "You've also done a book." I had done a book with some friends of mine for fun called Kentucky Kaiju, where we created kaiju for the state of Kentucky and gave them names, histories, and backgrounds and whatnot. And so he's like, "I think you'd be perfect for Kaiju Unleashed." He's like, "Can I get you in touch with the editor and the folks over at Quarto Epic Inc.?" And I was like, "Sure, no problem." I've been writing books for almost 20 years, a little bit of everything from comics and graphic novels to children's books to fiction, nonfiction, historical graphic novels, choose your own adventure style books. I am all over the place. And so after a meeting with Quarto, they asked me how I felt the book should flow. And originally, I think they thought it was going to be something real easy because they did a horror movie book, it's kind of similar in the vein of Kaiju Unleashed. They did a horror movie book the year before. And I said, well, we're dealing with kaiju, so we have to start with Godzilla. And I was like, this book is not just for folks that are trying to get into kaiju cinema. I was like, we also have to make sure that we provide something for the hardcore heads as well, that are knee deep. I was like, no, we're going to try our best to satisfy both sides. But I said it's not just Godzilla movies. We have multiple eras in Japan of Godzilla films. How those films are treated in America is, from like time period to time period changes. So we got the Showa, the Heisei, the Reiwa slash Millennium era. We have MonsterVerse now in the United States, and so we need to explain these differences and what they mean. And so, but it's not just Godzilla. We have Rodan had a film. We have Mothra's had a series of films. We need to talk about Gamera. We have to talk about
Yeah.
Gamera too. Because the thing is that it wasn't just Toho making kaiju films. Daiei, they made like a lot of Gamera films before they went out of business. And so like we need to talk about those. We need to talk about Daimajin. We have to talk about that kaiju as well. And then we get into like the international kaiju films like Gorgo and Reptilicus, and we get into American like kaiju and monster films and stuff like that, and we get into like the comic books, the cartoons. Like say for instance, I tell everybody this in the cartoon section, the Great Grape Ape, a cartoon from like the late 70s or 80s,
Yeah.
is
Yep.
in this book because technically he is a giant monster, so he's a
Hmm.
kaiju. So I was like, we need to put him in the book. We talk about, I wanted to talk about the vinyl toys, the video, like I said, the video games and things like that. And so, and when I started to break that down, they're like, oh, this is going to be a little bit more labor intensive than they originally thought. And then I asked for like a small subset chapter for Ultraman because, he battles kaiju and Ultraman is an important part of Japanese like television and cinematic history. Like Ultraman could have their own book all by themselves, but I wanted to at
Sure.
least introduction to readers, especially now we're in an era where you can watch stuff like Ultraman and Kamen Rider on YouTube. So
Hmm.
this gives readers an option to see these characters, see these films, see these movies, and then go out and try to get them. I had 5 months to write this book.
Wow.
And so it was like I said, very labor intensive. So I'm watching movie clips, I'm researching websites, I'm researching books, interviews, and all types of things to get this all together. And so I started in November 2023, turned it in by March of 2024, and I worked with an editor by the name of Katie McGuire. She asked me for a wish list of pictures, so I sent her a bunch of images so they could see if they could get clearance for them.
Hmm.
And she laid out this book. She laid out this book beautifully. She did.
I was gonna ask about that, about who chose the pictures,
Oh yeah,
if that was all
yeah,
you. Cool.
yeah. Like
Was there any
I
you couldn't get clearance for?
oh yeah, there was a
Were there
few.
any pictures? Yeah.
there were
Okay.
there were a few. Like there was a image of I found an image of the like history slash sizes of Godzilla as the
Hmm.
times passed, starting from
Oh
1954
yeah.
to now. And
Hmm.
we could not get clearance for that. That one we could
Oh,
not get clearance for. But
oh, that's a shame.
like we were able to get like old school posters and like and movie clips and stuff like that. So like it's a victory. It's a heck of a book, and like yeah, even King Kong has its own section.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, it's a labor of love, and like I said, I'm proud of this book.
Yeah. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to our show at all, but we go through the history of kaiju movies chronologically, and we started with Kong. My
Okay.
original idea was to a Godzilla podcast, and I thought, well, that'll be over too quickly if I just do Godzilla. Let's start at the beginning with the things that led to Godzilla, and
Yes.
then move on to all the other things that spun off from Godzilla. So yeah, we started with Kong and went through all of those 1950s giant bugs and spiders and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So yeah, we appreciate Kong here on this show. There, yeah. As far as Ultraman, yes, you could. We've done a little bit of Ultraman, but you could do an entire book, an entire podcast just on Ultraman. There's been so many series, and they don't stop coming.
No, no, they don't.
There's
No, they don't.
yeah.
Every year you're
So
going to get a new one. You're going to get a new
yeah.
one. The thing is, especially since like last decade, you know, that corporation has done everything to make sure by hook or crook you're going to get Ultraman in the United States, whether it be Blu-ray, whether it be through YouTube, whether it be through Tubi. It does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get Ultraman in your face, and this is something that they've been wanting to do for decades.
Yeah, I noticed they've been keeping up with the dubs on it as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So that the lazy people will definitely. I wouldn't say lazy. Sometimes I'm, sometimes I don't have the concentration for the subtitles, or if I'm trying to take notes, it's hard if you're trying to read the subtitles at the same time. So I don't blame people for watching the dubs. No dub shaming here. So and you don't just cover the movies. You've got some sections on animated TV and some games, some kaiju and pop culture, section on novels here, video games, board games. Now there's one thing you left out that if you do a follow up or a revision for paperback or something, and that's tabletop role playing games.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yes.
I did a presentation at G Fest on tabletop role playing games, and
that's awesome.
Between that and I tried to do it the next year, but they didn't pick me. But there was enough new stuff that had come out in that year that I could have done a whole new presentation. So I'll send you a link to that later.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. I would like to check that out.
And of course, if you include mecha-based games as well, there's even more.
Oh yeah.
I guess there's a discussion to be had about whether mecha count as kaiju or not.
I count it. Like I personally count it for the simple fact that the majority of those mecha films, they are battling giant monsters. Yes, there is some mecha on mecha type stuff, but like, so say for instance, like in this book we talk about Pacific Rim. We talk about the Guillermo del Toro Pacific Rim. So like that's a keystone movie for me.
Yeah.
Because it is, for me, it's like a legitimate live action anime, but it's made for audiences around the world. But like, I never expected to get something like that in America. You know what I mean? And so, and to do that, like I said, to do that was such, especially in 2012 when they started filming it, in order for them to like take a risk like that, I found it to be incredible. And like, it was successful, like not successful enough to get like a super sequel, but a lower budgeted sequel. But no, that film Pacific Rim means a lot to me. I love it.
There's a cartoon series and there's a comic books of that, and there's a not a role-playing game or a supplement for a role-playing game.
Oh, okay.
Pacific Rim. Yeah. It's a game called it's a modern, it's based on D&D, but it's a modern setting by Evil Genius Games. Name's escaping me at the moment, but they got the license for just a whole bunch of stuff somehow. They got licenses for both Kong, MonsterVerse Kong, but not MonsterVerse Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
Everyday Heroes. It's called Everyday Heroes.
Okay,
and they also got Pacific Rim and Kong, but they also got stuff like Universal Soldier and The Crow and Escape from LA. Okay. I'm like, how did you guys, this rinky-dink little company, how did you get the rights to all of these different properties?
Not only that, but that's very random too.
Yeah. Well, it was any sort of action thing in a modern era.
Okay.
Was what they were. I think that's kind of the umbrella they were going for.
Gotcha.
So, it's amazing. So, but yeah, my point is Pacific Rim has continued beyond just those two movies.
Yes.
And it's great. There's a game called BattleTech that's just mecha versus mecha. So like something like that I wouldn't put in the kaiju category, but it's certainly kaiju adjacent.
Yes,
in fact, let me get your input on this.
Yes.
My co-host asked me a while back if War of the Worlds counted, and why hadn't we done that? And I was like, well, I'd call those mecha, not kaiju. That's why I hadn't. I mean, they're big things and they tear stuff up, but they're mecha. But this led to the idea of maybe doing a spin-off show of just aliens invading the Earth. movies.
No, that's actually a pretty good idea. No, like I never really thought about that because like in the original War of the Worlds, the one that came out way back in the day, like those were more spaceships than actual. You got to see some creature come out of
Yeah.
it, but but it was
Well,
more we show less. But the Tom Cruise one, they had those
yeah.
giant like mech type thing.
Well, in the novel, they are giant tripods.
Okay.
That big robot ships that are driven around, and they got 3 legs and they stomp on everything.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
For some reason, in the '50s movie, they have, like, if you look close, there's like 3 sort of energy beams coming out of the bottom of
Yes.
their sort of flying saucer ship. So they're hinting at the tripod, but for whatever reason, maybe they thought we'll have to do stop motion and we don't want to do stop motion.
Yeah.
And it'd be cheaper just to hang something from a wire.
Yeah.
Because at that time, stop motion would have been the only way to do that, and it would have been expensive and
Yes.
time consuming. So I'm guessing
Very
that's why they went in that direction. Well, like I said, this is a beautiful book. Tell me, do you have a particular favorite kaiju?
Yes. Godzilla is always going to be my favorite,
Sure,
first and foremost.
fair enough.
There's an introduction in the beginning of the book where I talk about I was like around 5, 6 years old, and on the weekends during the summer, I would stay up with my mom and watch TV. We watch, all types of stuff together, and so I got real tired one night. It's like a little bit after 11, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed. And as I'm going up the stairs, my mom has turned the television, and she's got she has to walk up to the TV and flip the little knob,
Yeah,
and after that third click, I hear this like that Godzilla scream for the first time,
yeah.
and I'm like, what's that? I run right back downstairs, and Destroy All Monsters is on TV. And so, I said, can we watch this? And she's like, yeah. And so then it became like this thing where my mom and I, like, my mom would get the TV guide and like try to find like any time a Godzilla movie was on. And that was in an era where around the country, you had like all these independent channels before they were like network affiliates that had their own creature feature hosts, your Svengoolies, your Elvira's, and like all those types of clones. And so that's how like I got, access to Godzilla that way. And so like it became like this fun thing that me and my mom did all the time during my childhood. And so like it's stuck with me. So Godzilla will always be my favorite because of that.
Yeah, I'd have to pick Godzilla as well. But do you have a favorite Godzilla movie?
Yes. Actually, like I didn't think that I would love this movie as much as I do. But Godzilla minus one. That is right now my favorite Godzilla movie because not only does it look beautiful with the minimal amount of money that they had to make it, but it's also a movie about PTSD. It's a movie about, hey, how do we survive? How do we, unite as a community after a major world war? Like it's so many things, and it's such an emotional piece. Like, and it's one of like, a lot of Godzilla films. Like, you have humans in the movie, but the humans are never really the focal point. Here, the people are the focal point,
Hmm.
and it's just gorgeous, and it's amazing, and Godzilla is so ruthless,
Yeah,
like, and so like you really like feel it. Like there are parts in the movie like I get real nervous, like when I watch the old Godzilla movies, like I don't get that feeling. I enjoy them, but I don't get that feeling. But in this, like you really feel that tension. And so yeah, that's my favorite one right now. Before that, I would say Destroy All Monsters, but that one's my favorite.
that's what my co-host calls the human shit, and she normally gets frustrated when there's too much human shit. But we
Hmm.
both agreed that in Godzilla minus one, the human shit is so good
Yes.
and it just works so well that it's okay that there's a lot of it. Yeah, that's my current favorite as well. Before that, it would probably be Godzilla 2000, and that might just be because it was not counting the Matthew Broderick one, it was the first one that I saw in a movie theater.
Hmm.
And I think that kind of led to me collecting Godzilla movies. I'd always had an interest, but when I realized there was a bunch of new ones coming out that I hadn't seen, or that I wasn't, only one of them was put in the theaters here. So I started ordering VCDs, video compact discs from Japan on eBay that you could play. It's like a DVD, but it's a video compact disc.
Yes.
And therefore you could play it on your computer because they weren't region encoded.
Right.
So when we started doing this show, I was like, do I really like kaiju that much? Why did I choose this? I don't think of it as one of my big things. And then I realized, wait a minute, you were ordering stuff from Japan back in the 90s and early 2000s. You had an entire collection of this stuff. It's just kind of been quietly simmering in the background this whole time, but it's always been there. Like you, I first discovered it on television, more Saturday afternoon than late nights.
Yes.
The late night movies for me with my father rather than my mother were the Universal monsters.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Gotcha.
Our local channel would show those on a Friday or Saturday night, and there'd usually be 2 in a row. And Dad would make it through the first one, and then he'd start dozing off and go to bed, leave me alone for the second one. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the other stuff that you've written since we got you here. Let's give you a moment to plug your other work.
Like I said, I've done all types of stuff. Like I write, like there's 2 series of books that I've currently been writing at the moment for kids. They call them high-low reader books, and it's just to get kids into reading. So you have like short sentences, highlighted text, comic book style, text effects, and with the spot illustrations. And I write a superhero series called The Gamer, which is very Toku influenced. Like I love Kamen Rider, I love Super Sentai, Metal Heroes, and so what I wanted to do was make my own Toku hero. And so the publisher Capstone that publishes the series, they came to me and they said, "Hey, we want to write this series. We want you to write this series called The Gamer. It's a superhero series. Are you interested?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What is it about?" And they're like, "We don't know." They're like, "It's up to you and artist Francesca Ficarelli."
We have a title, and that's it.
We have a title. That's it. That's all they had was a title. And so upon hearing that, I was like, okay, this is going to be the way I'm going to be able to do Toku style stories for kids. And so, and they loved it. And so we've written 12 of those. They're available wherever books are sold. I also write another high-low reader series called Taekwondo Academy that just came out this year. The first 4 books in the series came out this year. I'm currently writing the second 4 right now. But like I said, I also write graphic novels and comics. I recently wrote a story, came out last year, I believe, for Hasbro's Power Rangers. Boom Studios publishes compendiums, and like their hardcover compendiums, I wrote a story for Power Rangers in that compendium. I've also written stuff like scary story graphic novels for the kids book company Capstone. Historical graphic novels. I've done Nat Turner's Rebellion. I've done a graphic novel about if you remember the film Pearl Harbor and the character that Cuba Gooding Jr. played, that was loosely based off of a gentleman by the name of Doris, aka Dory Miller. And I wrote a graphic novel about him. And like I've also written about Stephen Bishop, and he was the enslaved gentleman that discovered over 400 miles of cavern space in Mammoth Caves in Kentucky. And so my like I said, my career is all over the place. That's only a fraction of the stuff that I've written. I have like over 60 book credits to my name. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I assume most of that stuff is available on Amazon if people are interested in checking it out. We will put links to all of those things in the show notes.
And I got my own Amazon page on there. You just type my name and you'll find me.
All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap things up here? Did we cover everything?
Yeah, I would say like Kaiju Unleashed is not just for like the novice, it's also for those who love kaiju and kaiju cinema. And like I make sure that like try to treat this like I take this stuff very seriously, but I always want readers to have fun with this. But I also want them to understand the history. Like if we don't get King Kong, we don't get Willis O'Brien influencing Ray Harryhausen, to do like his film, to do his style of movies, and his stop motion because he saw Willis O'Brien. And I'm trying to remember the name of the movie that the producer of Godzilla saw in the United States that inspired.
I think it was Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
That is the one, yes. So if he doesn't see that movie, he doesn't go back home and say, "Hey, we gotta do something like this." Okay, and so I always like try my best, like for like a lot of these movies, to try to like show that there is inspiration. This stuff just didn't poof out of somebody's head. Like there's something that ignites it, and so there's so many catalysts in the kaiju genre and the medium. And so I just want people to be able to enjoy the book and go watch as many kaiju movies as they can possibly find.
Good. Well, I think this book really helps serve that purpose. So check it out, folks. Like I said, we'll have a link in the show notes. Shawn, thank you so much for joining us here today. Until next week, folks, I have been Precious D. Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements, and please don't misuse science. We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.